to actually approve the agenda. Do I have a motion to approve? So Marty and Joyce second. Any discussion?
Peter, I would like to make a motion that we add an executive session to discuss the open board seat tonight.
Is there a second? Second by Joyce. Any discussion on this motion then at the end? All in favor of adding the executive session? Let's see, 5-0. 5 of us, right? Okay. Then we need the, go back to the original motion to approve the agenda as amended, right? Do we have to get a second on, or first on that again? No. No, we just vote. Okay, so all those in favor of approving the agenda as amended? 5-0. Okay, we have a couple items under board commendations. The first, I'd like to ask Principal Clark to come on up for the August graduates.
Good evening. I'd like to ask all of our graduates to join us in the front of the screen down here, please. Right down here. Thank you. So before we begin, I wanted to take the opportunity to thank the members of the Board of Education, our district leadership, under the guidance of our superintendent, Mr. Provenzano, for all your support in meeting the needs of our students. I'd also like to thank our building administrative team, as well as our guidance counselors, teachers, social worker, and support staff that were committed to helping our honored guests complete their journey. As I remarked last June, this is an event that students have worked towards for many years. I'm pleased to announce this evening we have 6 more members of the class of 2017 that have satisfied all the requirements for graduation from Fairport High School. Each has faced significant challenges and responded to adversity with perseverance to accomplish their goals. And at this time, I'd like to ask Mr. Provenzano and Mr. Forsgren to join me in the presentation of diplomas.
First this evening, unfortunately, he's not able to join us, but Andrew Patrick, Gates Sar Mboko, Anthony Berry, Danny Taylor, Chris Daly, and Batul Alghanem. Just prior to this ceremony this evening, we had the chance to all meet together just down the hallway to celebrate with students and families. And again, just want to take this opportunity to commend all of our graduates for their extreme efforts to get to this point tonight. It was not an easy road, and wish them the best of luck moving into the future. Come back and see us. Congrats.
Also on the board commendation side, we'd like to recognize our newest board member, Kevin Glover, for completing the 6 hours of governance training and the mandated child abuse training. I have certificates from the Monroe County School Board Association for both of those. Yep, congratulations. If I might, would you tell us just a little bit about the child abuse? Because that's a new thing. None of us have taken it, as I recall. We did? Well, just stuck my foot in my mouth.
About reporting any suspected child abuse. So
recognizing that we're now mandatory reporters, right? So, okay, well, thank you, well done, getting that taken care of. Guess I have to catch up. Okay, so next on the agenda is communications, the president's report. I guess officially we are 10 days, right, into this is marked the 10th day into the school year, so hope everybody's settling in. Looking forward to hearing our construction update later on, but I've heard at least positive things out of my children walking the hallway here and how good it looks. Last week, Brett and I attended the executive committee for the Monroe County School Board Association, and there, I won't go over everything, but they had two things I wanted to share. One is the Constitutional Convention, right, that's on the, will be on the ballot this year. They did not take a position. They determined that there's enough on both sides, meaning what one group's con would be the other group's pro, for or against. So they've just developed FAQs. If you want that, I have brought a couple copies. So I'll just pass them out anyway if you want to take those and pass those over. This is draft form. They are going to finalize it in the next couple weeks and get us copies of that, but it's just FAQ type document. The other is National School Board Association has selected East Irondequoit District for a National Connection Leadership Site Visit in November. If you'd like to attend, they're asking that we register. I couldn't get one for everybody, but I picked up some of the extras as I left the meeting that people left on their seats. So if we're interested, it's right here in our backyard, based on technology and education and blending. So it goes over 2 days for us here locally, but they're advertising this nationwide and inviting people to come and attend. So I thought it'd be a good opportunity. You're going to take one of those too. Anybody else? I have a couple extra. It gives you the idea what's there. So I guess with the change we did, I was just going to say we did have 8 respondents to the open position with the deadline this Friday. We may have more. I assume we'll talk about some of those individuals or, how we're going to go about processing all of that. And then, of course, I'm excited to get into our long-term comprehensive plan, which we're going to hear more about. As you all know, we had 2 of the 3 areas we talked about at the workshop. Looking forward to the third one tonight here shortly with Brett. And with that, I will turn it over to Brett. He's going to, wait, I take it back. I'm sorry, I'm out of order. We have a new student advisory representative here this night, Kirabel Wandamu. Did I say that right? Did okay? I did cheating homework beforehand, right? But if you'd like to come up to the microphone and give us your student report, if you have anything to say, we're happy to hear from you.
Come on up. Great.
Check. I apologize for not having anything prepared, but I can tell you how things at FHS are going.
Please.
So I am a senior now, and I've been in the Fairport School District for essentially my entire life, and I don't know of any better schools that I can go to. I really love Fairport. It's a very inclusive community, focused on family values and caring, and us students are very interconnected and close, and the teachers are amazing and extraordinary. They really go above and beyond, and through the opportunities that I've been given, such as this one right here being the representative to the Board of Education for Student Council, I can really see the work that that the adults do and the teachers do to really make Fairport a better place and a better school for the students. So I thank you all for that. Thank you very much.
Thank you. And I apologize if I caught you off guard. Just we're always happy to hear from you. Anything you'd like to share with us each month, you're welcome to do so. So now I'll give the time over to Brett Wright for both C and D, though, just more of a fluid, and especially when we get into D, to make that an open discussion as part of that report.
Kirabel was one of my first followers on Twitter. I just want that to be publicly known, and
Oh, that makes
we
you special.
follow each other. And he will do a great job, as you could see. We're looking forward to hearing how you're going to share and celebrate all the great things that are occurring in our schools. Well, I first want to say thank you. Well, actually, as I move into the future planning pieces of this conversation, I would ask the board to join me in the conversation. So Damon, it's going to be okay to interrupt me as I'm speaking. So I'll look forward to, again, having this collective conversation about future planning. But I would like to say thank you to our incredible principals, directors, for getting the school year off. So everyone is well planned and organized for a great school year. They were diligently working throughout the summer, making sure that everything was ready for our students and staff. So my hats are off to all of our great leaders in the district. I would also like to say thank you to our Board of Education. We had the pleasure and joy of celebrating the graduation of 6 August or September today graduates for the class of 2017, and it underscores the board's commitment to meeting students where they are and making sure that we have programs that connect all of our students and give them experiences so they could be successful. These are Fairport graduates, and we're looking forward to hearing all the great things that they do as they move along, and we're proud of our alternative program and looking forward to talking more about that in the very near future. But it doesn't happen without the board's vision and expectations of meeting students where they are so they can all be successful. So thank you. It was a great opening at FHS, as our FHS team can attest. It was under the gun. There was lots of planning, organizing, cleaning up, making sure that our schools were ready to open up. And you're going to hear a little bit from campus construction about how we're doing with our construction project. But it was inspiring to see all the different buildings and grounds teams come to Fairport High School to get the job done. They were on the clock. I'd make 9 o'clock, 10 o'clock visits, and there they would be, Ross and his team, working to support, the cleaners here at FHS. Sundays, Labor Day weekend, it happened, and it looked like it was pulled off, but it was a great effort and greatly appreciated. Our elementary schools look great with our new playgrounds, and I know that we're putting the finishing touches on them as well. So much appreciation, and I know that our students will be enjoying those playgrounds as we continue along. I think thanks, Zach. Well, again, we're back in business, and one thing I want to mention is open houses, curriculum nights, whatever you want to call them, have been incredible. Seeing the number of cars and seeing the number of parents in our hallways really is a distinguishing attribute of our incredible community. We're successful because we have such great support from our parents and such advocacy. Speaking of advocacy, we really appreciate the comments that were made about G2 and sharing the gifts of G2. And that type of advocacy, as mentioned in the public comments, what we see in our open houses and our curriculum nights, is just emblematic of who we are as a community. So very much appreciated, and thank you. Looking forward to a great school year. We started the year off with this question, what do we want our students to experience in our schools? What's our role? What's our responsibility in our schools? If you look at any social media feed, you could tell that we need to focus in on the human beings that we are raising. And again, our Board of Education's first priority is to make sure that we're creating and nurturing human beings when they leave our schools, that they're contributing members to our society. As the school year started, sadly, there were some natural events that were occurring, whether it be in Texas or Florida. There were some natural disasters. But our students, I'm proud to say, they're right now trying to find out how to pay for postage, with all the great donations that have been made throughout all of our schools to contribute to the hardships that are occurring in our own nation. So I'm proud of that initial effort, and it's a priority that we teach students civic responsibility. And the question here is always asked to our teachers, and I think Kirabel was saying that he sensed that in his experiences in our schools. We create humans first and foremost, and again, much appreciation for allowing that to happen. This past summer, the Board of Education really focused in on the vision, making sure that we had the right vision. Pretty much our vision states who we want our students to be at the end of their Fairport journey. As we move along and talk about future planning, these ideas of creating creative, healthy, caring, analytical thinkers who participate in and contribute to a diverse society will be at the forefront of our conversations. I do not want these words to be hanging out on a website and a website only. We're going to be talking about these ideas as we move along with future planning. You're also going to be hearing us talk about our mission statement, or how we plan on achieving our vision. The Board of Education, after listening to feedback from stakeholders throughout the past year and this past summer, took it upon themselves to tweak the mission statement. And you could see words like invest in safe, inviting facilities and learning environments. Invest in our resources to create, nurture, and sustain developmentally appropriate settings. Assure access and equity for all students. Having students achieve their personal excellence. We just saw that tonight with the graduation of 6 alternative ed students. And by the way, the alternative ed program has right now a total 13 students. As we move along the year, that population will steadily grow, as it usually does. But again, the mission is, how do we live it? How do we create the best people? How do we create opportunities for our students to be connected to their school environments? Technology, I love it. The Board of Education, once again, has created district goals. They've made it a priority to have these goals up front, and the goals speak to being fiscally responsible, speaks to future planning, again, a theme that we're going to continue to talk about throughout the year, particularly at our workshops and here at the business meetings. We're focusing on a high quality that imparts quality instruction and curriculum. And of course, building on the connections that Kirabal was speaking to. This slide was a slide that I shared last year in my September business report. And it spoke to the buzzer system, making sure we have secure entrances, and the Raptor system. Well, that's underway. We're continuing to do good things with that. But the thing that was most intriguing is, phases 1 and 2 of our projects, they're almost complete. And we're going to hear about that from our friends from campus in just a little bit. Transportation Center will be, hopefully, after final reviews are done at SED, in the spring of 2018. So by the fall of 2019, we'll have a transportation center that suits the needs of our transportation center, so that we can deliver quality services to our children. And we started talking about short and long-term facility strategic planning last year. And some of these pieces address that. But this year, you're going to see, we're going to go a little bit deeper. And I'm really excited because I think that last year's slide, highlights the board's expectations for being thoughtful, to making sure that we have a plan that's transparent, that's collaborative, and that communicates our expectations for everyone. And they've upped the ante this year and have started to say that they want to make sure that our educational programming meets the needs of our students, that our fiscal responsibilities are being met by making sure that we're creating a fiscally responsible budget, or being fiscally sustainable. I don't know. I got to get past this one. Move on. Right? But these statements were created based upon stakeholders coming together this past summer to quantify in the best possible terms, in 1 or 2 sentences, what educational programming means to our district. Staff members contributed to this, administrators contributed to this, educators, teachers contributed to this, and board members contributed to these statements that will be a very important part of our future planning initiatives. As we move along, we will be talking about the District Advisory Council, or the DAC. The District Advisory Council will be divided into 3 subgroups. And we just saw the 3 subgroups, pretty much their purpose statements: educational programming, fiscal sustainability, and facilities management or planning. These are our expectations as we plan in the District Advisory Council. We're hoping that the District Advisory Council, which will start in October and run through February, will help us create a comprehensive strategic plan in these 3 areas, so the entire school community has a definitive path on where we are headed relative to educational programming, fiscal sustainability, and facilities management. There's a commitment that we're going to be here 20 years from now, and the great experiences that Kirball is experiencing in his classes today, our children who are not even in our schools will be experiencing their version of excellence and participation. The District Advisory Council will be supported by the University of Rochester. I am hoping that the board will consider approving a proposition that University of Rochester be the lead facilitator in this group to help us formally put together focus groups, community surveys, and community forums so we can gather information and process it through each subcommittee so we have a comprehensive strategic plan. This District Advisory Council will be communicating to me, sharing their advisement, and I will be reporting to the Board of Education. And by February, March, we will have ideas on and decisions to make for a comprehensive plan to be put in place.
So I'm excited about this, right? For various reasons. I'm just going back in my mind to just first coming on the board, it seemed like, as some of you experienced in real time, I was just elected, right? That too many decisions were being made based on the constraints. I thought Joyce, you and Marty, you both made a great point the other night at the workshop that if it was a priority, then the cost wasn't the issue, right? That's changing the dynamic of how we make decisions, and that's what's going on now with this long-term plan. That's what excites me about it, is we get to look at things differently. And fiscal sustainability, we have to be fiscally sustainable, there's no doubt about it, but that shouldn't be the way we make our decisions. It's let's come up with the priorities, where do we want to be 3, 5, however many years from now, and then we allocate the resources accordingly to meet that. It's pretty exciting. There's no doubt there's givens out there, or I say givens, a lot of assumptions. We know there's a lot of talk on the facility side. Our enrollments are down. What are we going to do? This building's assumed to be closed, or that, and this, and everything. And those discussions are all getting thrown into the mix for sure. And looking forward to those advisory councils getting into the deeper dive and looking at all the alternatives. But I just can't say by February, March, and when this is finished next year, it's going to be a great product.
When the plan is finished, not the project,
Right.
right?
Well, the plan
Yeah.
should be also living, right? I think this, say, 3 and 5 years outlook, so we continually roll it forward, but having something in place that guides our decision-making, so we're not just cutting this and that based on cost, but now we're looking at, well, what's our lens? We've developed our lens, right, through the vision, mission statement, and then the Board of Ed's core belief statements, so we can make decisions based on that and decide, out of everything that comes out, what's meeting our values.
This will be a value-driven conversation. And last year, we learned that educational programming, fiscal sustainability, and facilities management were priorities. And creating a plan is something that I think everyone deserves in this community. And we're really starting to mobilize and share information about the District Advisory Council. We're going to need partners. We're going to need stakeholders, parents, community groups, which I'll get to in a second, to participate. And there'll be an opportunity, for lack of the right word, but just to help us get organized, apply for membership on the District Advisory Council.
I would just encourage everybody, if you're on the advisory council, that's great, and we can have active participation, but even if you're not, I would encourage people to stay engaged, right? Pay attention, look at the website, listen to board meetings, listen to other meetings or other venues, but stay engaged and understand where things are at. We don't want to surprise anybody as we proceed through this, and it's not our intention to hold things back, but people have to seek out the information sometimes, so I just encourage people to actively stay engaged, ask questions, and look at the information.
And there will be a survey that people can answer as well. Then everybody can't participate in the committee, but they can answer a survey if they wish.
There'll also be focus groups, and the focus groups will, be run by, hopefully the U of R team, because they're going to be able to do it in a research-based way that's going to help us make sense of the surveys, which are pretty, they're pretty, you get an answer, but then you have a narrative formed with the focus groups because they can dig deeper and ask different questions, and they're going to be able to triangulate the data and give it directly to the subgroups, so the subgroups will have all the information they need to answer specific questions relative to what we're trying to accomplish.
Suppose I won't be so naive to think people will be watching us with bated breath every month, but encourage them to stay active. Indeed, on every meeting, right, we've designed now for this year, we will have reports on each of those elements, so at least once a month. What's our progress? How are we doing? It's going to happen, and we're going to make great progress.
In an effort to inform school members, you'll see some dates and some times and opportunities for staff members to come and learn about our district advisory council and how they can get involved. Also on the docket, I plan on doing and holding similar forums with our PTAs, local business leaders, town and government officials. I'm reaching out to the Fairport Retiree Educators Association, and there'll be a boosters meeting where we can, speak to that group. And that's just initial. I'll make myself available to share what we're trying to do, because we do need it to be a collaborative and collective experience, so we have the best possible information to make decisions for the board. So the board has all the right information, so they can make all the right decisions for the community.
Brett, I appreciate, during a meeting last week, I believe you put this term around what we're doing here, and even though it is a wide open whiteboard and we're really encouraging out-of-the-box thinking, we do have guardrails, and that is termed as feasibility, right?
Mhm.
There's feasibility, right? So we'd love to build a 50-story high-rise building with jet elevators, but it's not feasible, right? So, there is a sense of reality and the reality of the financial situation we have and the footprint we have. So I think that, we certainly are open to ideas within the bounds of what we have, but I think there is a certain sense of feasibility. And feasibility is more is in terms of finances as well as timeliness, right? We want this to be able to be something that we can accomplish within a certain window and not have a 10-year plan, if you will.
The board has made it clear to me that, having a plan that that addresses short and long-term needs is their priority. And the feasibility piece, we could do anything, we want. However, we have to be responsible to our community and to our students to give them the very best, not only today but into the future. And that's what these groups will be wired to do. I would have to say that those who are interested in serving on the District Advisory Council will be getting this out to, this is supposed to be a live link, so let me see if I can get there. Is there a way you can get, if you just hit on interested in, there you go. Allow it, yep. Just allow it. This is our district website. This is the form that's been created, that's been shared a couple different times, that community members, school members will have access to complete, and that will help us form our district advisory council. So I'm hoping that we'll be able to get large numbers of interested participants. Again, I'll make this available on our social media networks. I'll share it with our staff internally, and I'll be sharing this with staff as I meet with them within the next 2 weeks, and any other interested group as we move along here. Any thoughts? Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, Matt, we postponed your report as long as possible, all right? If you could do the treasurer's report and investment update?
Okay, thank you. We have two treasurers' reports tonight to review. First, we'll start with the June 2017. We had a beginning balance of $44.8 million, receipts in the month of $6.7 million, disbursements of $19.7 million for an ending cash balance of $31.8 million. In comparison to last year, we can see it's down, primarily due to the spending and reserves that we had. It's important to note, we spent close to $5 million of reserves in fund balance, but we did have a net funding of $1.4 million to the ERS reserve for an overall change in reserves and fund balance of a decrease of $3.7 million. And now for the July 2017 report, beginning a balance of $31.8 million. Receipts of $252,000, disbursements of $1.97 million for an ending cash balance of $30.1 million. Overall, of the $30 million in cash we have approximately $20 million invested in a combination of treasury bills and insured cash sweep account. So, thank you.
Thank you. Any questions or from anybody? Okay, on to the approval of the consent calendar. We have multiple items there. As a reminder, we don't discuss these, so we just need a motion, but they'll include approval of our prior meetings in August and the treasurer's reports that were just presented. We have acceptance of bid recommendations and acceptance of donations. So a motion to approve. Kevin, second. Marty, all in favor?
Any comments?
You can't make comments. Yeah, are you kidding? Not for consent calendar, not technically. You're gonna do it anyway, yeah.
Just in terms of donations to the district, do we have a monetary value cap on, I'm just curious.
Currently, we don't.
Okay. So, we
Accept them all.
Up to and including $1 billion.
Mhm. But we could talk about putting monetary value on items that would come to the board for approval, for acceptance.
There's no audit implications or?
No, it would need to be in policy.
Although I'm looking forward to seeing what Damon's going to donate now. Millions of dollars.
He was talking about that building earlier?
Okay, we're already beyond protocol, but anyway, all in favor of the consent calendar? 5-0. Personnel actions, we have 3 different sections here to approve. So the first under A, instructional staff actions, including probationary appointments, part-time appointments, long-term substitutes, abolishment of 1 position and a resignation associated with that, extension of a parenthood leave of absence, teachers to be mentors, alternative education, administrative co-coordinators, alternative education fall tutors, and substitute teacher appointments. And then the daily rate of substitute teachers, teacher scholars, I probably should just point out that's related to the Teacher Immersion Fellowship Program, not our standard substitute teachers, if that makes sense. So is there a motion to approve that section? Marty, second. Joyce, any questions or comments?
Only a quick question about part-time appointees. It seemed like we had a long list of fractional FTEs on the list. Is that normal, or what's the reason for that? Are we filling in some gaps that we have?
So after the middle school schedule was complete at one of our middle schools, there was a understanding there was some additional staff that was needed. We couldn't cover those additional classes with our existing staff, and so there were some part-time appointments that were necessary to be able to cover those classes. And that's what you're seeing here in the majority of these part-time appointments.
It's not abnormal. It's not ideal, but it's not abnormal too. Once you get through the master schedule, there's, I used to call them dangling participles. Just we got to make sure that we're accountable to.
So,
And the one part-time at Fairport High School, we had attempted to fill earlier in the summer, so that was something that was known to us for some time.
Anything else? All in favor? 5-0. Going back down, B, item B, instructional staff actions. We have alternative education for the fall academic advisors. A motion to approve. Kevin, second. Joyce, any comments or questions? All in favor? 4-0. Any against? And note 1 abstention. C, non-instructional civil service staff actions. We have under C, new appointments, long list there, additional positions, transfers, rehires, a recall, of teacher aide, paraprofessionals to be mentors, athletic coaches, athletic supervisors, leave of absence, a couple retirements, resignations, and a termination. So a motion to approve that. Marty, second. Damon, any comments or questions in this section? No, all in favor? 5-0. We have our monthly presentation then by Campus Construction, Mr. Charles Brown.
Good evening, everyone. I trust that some of you have had a chance to get out to the buildings. All right, great. I ask you to forgive the scratchy voice. I spent last night and this morning on the floor of an airport trying to sleep in North Carolina for the next available flight, and I did that to make sure I got here on time just to do this report for you. So, here we go. All right, our September 2017 update. All right, starting with our overall budget review of the $29.2 million of the approved referendum. It captures our 2 phases of construction, our state contracts, and again, our incidental budget and our construction contingency. To date, of our approved change orders, executed change orders, it totals a credit of approximately $495,000. Combined with our contingency, that leaves us a balance of $626,000 available for future changes. Phase 1 is 98% complete. Phase 2, 75% complete. Our contract allowances to date, the totals are just over $58,000, and pending changes to date are approximately $335,000. Any portion of that, or in whole, that is approved, will be applied against that $626,000. Okay, our construction update. For Phase 1, Fairport High School, we are substantially complete. If you see contractors on the roof, they're doing small items like punch list and final work like caulking and trim work at this building. But that should be buttoned up next couple of months. Likewise, Jefferson is complete. The contractor will return for punch list items there as well. And the playground equipment has been installed and it's been certified for use and actually is in use. All right, Phase 2, starting at the high school. Main office is complete. The terrazzo flooring, which we'll talk about that later, is actually complete as well. The auditorium, as we know, is scheduled for completion this fall. We're in there right now doing finishes. The first set of bathrooms, the first 11 or 12 or so, have been turned over and are in use. That was turned over before school. We have approximately 14 bathrooms for the next set of bathrooms that are underway, and we're in there doing finishes right now. Those bathrooms are scheduled to be completed this fall as well. The locker rooms. Were originally scheduled to be turned over yesterday. We're taking advantage of doing some change order work right now, and we plan on turning those locker rooms over end of the week. Site work, as you pulled in here, you'll see that obviously that the parking lots are done, the sidewalks are done. The contractor will return to do some touch-up work for the site restoration. The main entrance and the events entrance, as you can see out there, that work has always been scheduled to be completed this fall. The remaining work that has to be done in those areas are some metal paneling, the roofing, and some exterior lighting.
Just to clarify,
Yep.
when you say this fall, that's defined as September, October? That's
October,
correct?
end of October. And then, when I say the fall, because there's approximately 30 days of punch list work as well. Okay, the exterior marble panels, there are select areas around this high school that are going to be receiving new panels. The panels are on site, and that too will start sometime this month and carry over into October. As you walk into the main entrance here, you will notice a entrance wall and a seating wall. Those walls are finally cured. They needed a 30-day cure time, and they will be receiving a epoxy coating, protective coating, this month. Again, the rest of the site work and the lawn restoration and your plantings will happen over the next couple of weeks. And again, the metal cladding around your canopies will continue into the fall. Remaining work for fall is again auditorium, the remaining set of bathrooms in our second phase, the metal panels around the entrances, the marble panels, and there are some workspaces where the old main office used to be. That is scheduled to be completed by October as well. Martha Brown, all the work is complete with the exception of, again, some select areas for marble panel replacement. North Side and Dudley, playgrounds are all in, certified, and in use. We're right now, it'll take some time for the grass to germinate, but right now we're prepping the lawns and for seeding and site restoration. Building renovations with inside North Side and Dudley are complete. Fire alarm has been certified and tested. The mechanical systems are up and running, and they have been balanced. And Minerva DeLand, we did exterior doors around that entire school. We're currently working on finalizing the card readers, the automatic door operators, and some related hardware. These doors are lockable, but they're still under construction, getting them tied out. And there will be some punch lists in regards to caulking and trimming and things of that nature. Okay, I mentioned the front entrance, and I mentioned the entrance wall and the seating wall. That's what it would look like if you came in. This wall, both walls are going to be receiving an epoxy coating, but this front seating wall here will also be receiving masonry. Let me go back real quick. And then we got some flagpoles there. Go ahead.
Just to clarify, so Mason, you're going to put a coating around this structure?
Yep, both of them, yep.
Okay, great.
Then brick, you're saying around, or will they have color?
Yeah, there's going to be precast on the seat, and on the back portion, and on the cap portion. Yep. Why is it taller than the rest? I don't have an answer for that, because I didn't choose it that way. But, okay.
I have to make a note.
We'll make a note of that. Thank you.
Fairport High School, the new parking lot, paved, striped, numbered. Again, I mentioned the main entrance. Here you see that there's board going up. It's actually a little bit farther along than that now. We've got the weatherproofing on, and it's all boarded. This is a shot of the events entrance as well. Main lobby area, you'll see the terrazzo is down, and what you see in the background is the wall that's set up to receive new millwork. This is the main office. It's actually completed. It's actually in use.
Is the, when I was in there a few weeks ago, the security, I believe the window over here for the security
Yes.
that window's in place now, and
Perfect time to ask that question. So, yes, and I believe the electric is tied into that right now. the power, excuse me, that's what they say in the business. Thank you.
Okay, T11 and T12, this was the bathrooms that we had the underground disruption with that. So we put the bathrooms off a couple of months, but we got the contractors to circle back, put in some overtime and extra work to make sure these bathrooms were available for the start of school. This is the events entrance. You see the logo here, the terrazzo flooring. This is the backside of that logo heading south. And this is a good highlight here because all this area, from the previous slide to this area here, and the two corridors going down, technically that work was supposed to be going on into September into October. It would have been very messy work, grinding, and we weren't even sure if we were going to be able to even have this floored out. We beefed up the crews, worked overtime, and actually got this entire area done before the start of school. And it's huge because now we don't have that messy work interruption during, the fall semester. And the grinding, because it's a very messy process. It's dusty.
So I don't know if you're going to get to it, but that first hallway right there, that's the music room hallway. Is I know you were renovating a couple of bathrooms and that, and trying to get some storage space in there.
Yep.
How are we doing there?
Those bathrooms are part of the 14 that are slated for completion in October.
So is the music department still using the cafeteria for now, or? That's fine, I just was wondering.
This is a shot of the second phase of toilet rooms. We're starting our finishes. This is just a progress update, the tile going in. Again, T5 and T6 is one of the second set of bathrooms with the finishes going in.
Those are new floors that were poured?
Oh, yes. Yep.
And I think, for a guy like me coming in and asking you every 2 minutes, is it done, is it done, is it done? When's it going to be done? You guys have done a great job explaining the process and the detail that's entailed with, digging up and, making sure that all the plumbing's in place and the mechanical components. It's definitely not a simple, but it's more intricate.
Absolutely. And the coordination, we asked these contractors to even work out a sequence. For example, this room right here, we actually boarded up that floor about 12 inches and had the contractor come in and pour that floor. That's normally not how you do it. Those walls are all boarded and then you pour that floor. But we did that because we didn't want them doing wheelbarrows in September and October like we did last year. I mean, the district was very great in putting up with that construction, both first and second shift. But as you know, it doesn't, the school population doesn't stop at 3 o'clock. There's activities at night as well. So we wanted to get as much of that heavy work done now, and we were able to get that done, having them work out a sequence. The locker rooms, this is the boys' common area. All the lockers are in. The areas are cleaned up, as well as the girls' locker room. Again, we were supposed to turn this over yesterday, but we're going to do a couple of final touches, so it's one turnover.
I think it's worth noting, Mr. Clark and I were just talking about this this morning. We'll be doing a ribbon cutting, if you will, probably into November, because that's when, hopefully the auditorium will be completed. We'll also be doing some community tours, keeping the building open, after hours and maybe on a Saturday morning to allow the community to sort of see where we are, what we've experienced here, and, definitely so they can get a close look on of where we've been and where we hope to go in the future. So stay tuned.
Dudley Elementary, all the sidewalks are in, the fencing is up.
I would say I did drive up there a couple of weekends ago, and that Dudley North Side, that is so much better now with the parking lots and the traffic loops and
The drop off
it's
and the
just-
pickup.
Yeah, it's just so much more. It just makes sense now. Intuitive. It flows nicely.
I was at a parent night last night, and it was really cool. There was only one van parked in the street, and that's why, probably because they just wanted to, because there was multiple parking spots, and that doesn't happen, right? That's, you would speak to that better than I could. So I was celebrating last night.
This is a shot of the deadly new parking. Lights are up, operational. This is a shot of the north side. What you don't see here are the lights, but they are in and they are operational. And I said earlier about restoration and lawn repair and the germination. These are some of the areas I'm talking about on the north side of that building.
So, on this side, there's like a massive pile of dirt, 3 topsoilers. Is that
No,
our dirt?
we've got plans for all of that
Okay.
for this side. We're doing some extra work out here, so
It's like
yes.
a mountain of dirt.
You're talking about across the street.
Yeah.
Yeah, I
across-
Oh, across the street.
Yeah,
Oh,
that's not our
No,
project,
that's not
yeah.
something else.
That's not our dirt.
No.
That's okay.
I was digging into that the other, oh. No, I wasn't.
Measurement area in the back there, no. Again, this is the last of the pour that was done at north side for the sidewalks. And then there you can see in the back, the lights are actually in.
I like the fence or the black steel fence that goes through the middle of that parking lot now.
That's separating
Kinda
the bus
separate-
loop from the,
Yeah.
yes.
That's really good.
This is a shot of north side elementary playground. We know it's going to take a while for the grass to come in, so what you see there is actually sod around the perimeter, so the kids have something to step off and onto, so the shoes aren't getting muddy.
So I think it's worth noting that we realize that, and I appreciate the responsiveness regarding the playground at Northside. It's sort of on an angle. It was built into a hill, which is great, but we're going to manage the topography as we move along to try to create some flat space so our students can, be free,
Absolutely.
right? So I appreciate your responsiveness to that.
The fence we were just talking about, separating the bus loop from the visitor and the staff parking. And so you can see, we got a lot of work done. It was a very crazy summer. We did a lot of work over the summer. And we still have, 6 weeks to go to finish up the last portion of it. So you'll see us out there doing some construction. You'll see us at the other sites doing touch-up work and punch list work. And the other good thing is, what's what I called end-user occupancy, which is great because as they're in there using some of these facilities, anything that we need to come back and tweak, we can actually do it right now while the kids and the staff are actually using it. So it's a good opportunity while we're still here to hit those items. So that's it. Any other questions or? I think that's not in your right of way. I think that belongs to the Fairport Electric, so I don't think we really have a say in where they land that. That's their right of way.
So out of respect for our process, we'll hold public comments, and I'd be happy to talk with you afterwards, and I'll get back to you. Thank you.
Any comments in the back?
We're good.
Good.
Yep.
Thank you.
So there you have Phase 1 and Phase 2. We're close, and proud of the fact that we've accomplished some great things, and look forward to more future planning and organizing as we move along.
So as you complete these Phase 1 and Phase 2 in October, the end of October, then the transportation garage, I noticed there's a big dumpster there, but, I mean, when does that work officially start on the transportation garage?
That work will not officially start. First, there still needs to be SED approvals on all of our plans. Matt can get into the details on that, but that won't be starting until the summer of 2018.
Okay, next summer. Okay.
This summer
So
coming
in
up.
turn, I'm just thinking about you've got the big trailer outside the high school. That's where your sort of temporary offices are. Is that going to stay there? Are you going to remove that?
That's still on the logistics and planning.
Yeah. My goal that it won't be. So.
Yeah.
On the site itself.
Yep.
Because that's where they'll be our only working, we'll make something work.
That's definitely a future workshop conversation too, because there's lots of logistics, lots of communication that needs to occur with not only our school members, but our community. So stay tuned. Good question.
Okay, thank you for your time. Item 9 on the agenda, we have several parts here. A, the first one, agreement for professional consultant services with St. John Fisher College. Need a motion to approve. Marty, a second. Joyce, any questions or discussion on this contract? All in favor? 6-0, 5-0, I mean, sorry. B, new extra classroom activity, right? This is for the first Lego League at Northside, very exciting. A motion to approve that. Joyce, second. Damon? Any comments, questions?
Just quickly, I mean, I realize it's $975 per club or something like that, but, and it's not a lot of money, but just where does that come from?
That's going to come from the building's extracurricular funds. So,
Okay.
so each
So
principal.
we have that budget.
Absolutely. Each principal has an allocation, and they decide what's best for their community.
Good clubs, great clubs.
Oh, and it fits into what we're trying to accomplish
Yep.
from a educational programming.
Which leads us to C, another club, right? New extra classroom activity at the high school here, the Chem Club. Right. Oh, we didn't vote. Then vote on B. I apologize. All in favor of the first Lego one? 5-0. C, any motion to approve that? Marty, and seconded by Kevin. Questions, comments? No? Vote for that one then, all in favor? 5-0. Item D, a settlement agreement between the district and a teacher. Need a motion to approve this. Damon, second. Marty? Any discussion? All in favor? 5-0? Yeah, almost 6-0, okay. Item E, agreement for professional consultant services. This is the U of R, but through the Wayne Finger Lakes BOCES. So hopefully everyone made that connection. Is there a motion to approve? Marty, second. Joyce? Any questions or discussion?
Oh, my only comment here is I did look at the timeline and the amount of activities, and it's aggressive, and I like that. I mean, there's going to be definitely things happening and opportunities for a lot of people to get engaged, so I think that's great.
And it's going to be fascinating to see how educational programming, fiscal sustainability, and facilities planning all merge together. And I think having, the U of R as a partner, they're going to help do it in a credible, research-based way using incredible resources that they have.
So just a side note, my daughter did get married this last weekend, and I was
Congratulations.
delivering something up to the place where she got married, and this other lady was there, and she was getting married, and I talked to her, and I asked her what she did. She taught first grade in Canandaigua, and I said, "Oh, do you know Dr. Living there?" And she said, "Oh, he's a legend. He's a legend in Canandaigua." So anyway, it was a good reference from a non-biased person, so very good.
Thank you.
Thanks. I'm excited after meeting with him. All in favor? 5-0. And then to item F, we don't need a motion, but this, Joyce, you've asked for, give us a legislative committee report. Is your microphone on?
At Monroe County School Boards, we discussed, first of all, we have our advocacy going with so many things to advocate for and against. But one of the things that they were wondering is if the district would be if all the districts would be interested in advocating in DC this year. There is an advocacy institute, which I've attended a couple of times to represent. Used to be, it probably still is, they like to get somebody from every legislative district. So I used to go I went a couple of times anyway, for Louise Slaughter's. Used to be, Mike DeLoss used to go. I guess he decided he didn't want to do that anymore, and NISBA reached out to me and asked me if I would replace him, so I went a couple of times. But in those days, NISBA used to help pay the registration fee, and, so it offset our cost a bit. But the last time I went, I didn't think it was really worth the money, so I haven't asked to go back, haven't asked the board to send me back, but now Monroe County wants to consider doing this. And so they wanted to know how many districts might be interested, if we had a bus that went. Last time I went, I flew, it was just me. I don't know if additional people would want to go, and my comment to them was, I don't think it's worth it if we're just going to do what we already do here, which was the reason I didn't ask to go back after the last time, because we went and spoke at the offices of, we went to Louise Slaughter's office and spoke to her people. In fact, I think she might have been there that day. We didn't even get to meet with anybody in Schumer or Gillibrand's office. Well, here we do that. I did that during the summer, in fact. We had a day where they had people for, again, Louise was not there, although ordinarily she will meet herself with us, or Senator Schumer and Gillibrand never do, but they do send staff member. So we already do that here, and we do it a few times a year, so I don't really see the purpose. I suggested if we were going to go, we should do something more than that, or different from that.
Do you meet with the BOE?
We don't really, the point of it is, everybody is supposed to go and speak with their representatives.
But to your
We
point,
do that.
they're supposed to meet with us when they come home.
Right, and they do, so I didn't, that's, as I say, that's why I didn't ask for the district to spend that money the past couple of years, because I just didn't think there was value to it.
You think about the New York State trips, we meet with SED, we meet with the Senate, we meet with the House, we meet with the governor's office, right?
Right.
So that's productive, because you're meeting with.
Exactly.
But if you're just meeting with your local representative.
So that was, my suggestion was, if they could, if we as Monroe County wanted to go, and we could arrange meetings with Lamar Alexander and Patty Murray, or, people that we wouldn't ordinarily talk to. Obviously, they don't have to answer to us, we don't vote for them. But they are the chair and the ranking member of the Education Committee. They might be interested in listening, I don't know. So that was my thought. But if anybody, if any of us can think of something that would be different to do there, it would be worthwhile taking advantage of the Advocacy Institute, because they do have good speakers and that.
You're meeting with the Department of Education, right?
Yeah, well, we can't even
Well, I'm just
get that
saying,
here in New York with
well,
the state.
we do meet with SED, right?
Well, yeah, portions,
somebody
not
from there,
somebody.
But I mean,
It's the same people are willing all the time,
I,
no one else. So it's tough. So that was my point. Last time I was at the Advocacy Institute, I was speaking to some members from a different state, and they said they make arrangements before they go to have appointments at some think tanks. Now, they didn't tell me which ones, and unfortunately, the bus came at that point, and so I didn't get to dig any deeper into what they do, but I thought that might be interesting. So I don't know, I just wanted to throw it out there so that we can think about it. This isn't until February, and right now, Monroe County School Board sort of put it on the shelf because everybody there no one else had ever been. Well, Tom Nisbecka, of course, had been, but no one else had, and they kind of took my word for it that it didn't seem to have the value that I had hoped it would have, so that we should try and retool it and do something more worthwhile if we're going to spend the money and go. Because we have to be careful with our money. And you know me, I'm very thrifty. I'm not going to spend it unless there's value for it.
yeah.
So-
Also, I'm not sure I can sit on the bus for 10 hours.
Yeah, well, I mean, I would go, but I just want to make sure there's a good purpose in it. We're going to get something more done than I've already done here 3 times this year, So, there's just so much to advocate for federally now as well, obviously, with vouchers and charters and reduction in funding and all those things that are going to be thrown at us. There's a lot to do there, if anyone would listen.
We had met as a subcommittee, right, started one and decided it wasn't as feasible. We're going to go out and advocate, but what we need to get people to listen is more community involvement.
Has there been any progress on that advocacy committee for the district?
There hasn't been formal progress, absolutely. No, there hasn't. I am a member of the Monroe County Superintendents. I'm the representative, and I was hoping to bring what I'm learning there to the district. But relative to that committee that we were talking about last year, no, I have not done that.
So,
In terms of awareness and advocacy is, we do have the new next generation learning standards that were approved. And, you know, I'm not sure, I've read a lot about, you know, what they are or not versus what they are, but I'm just, at the end of the day, they have to be digested by the district, and they're just gonna either mean something or not mean something. I'm not quite sure how to interpret what they are, but I mean, at some point, I would like to spend a little bit more time saying, okay, these are the things that are different, this is how we're adopting them, or not adopting them, and
We've had a lot of movement.
Absolutely. The directors have been processing all of the standards, and the teacher emergency leaders are processing the social studies framework, Kristen Larson's work with the next generation science standards, and we've started very recently talking about the literacy and math standards through really processing, especially those early years. K-2 standards are really seeing the same changes. We've just started processing those as well. That's in our elementary frameworks. So we'll be happy to put a report together for you so you can see what we're doing and what the changes will be.
yeah, I would like to spend, like, not just a report, but have a discussion around what they are, and not just, you know, it's understanding what are the accountability metrics that go with these standards. I mean, is there a testing component? What does that look like at the different grades? And
So what we talked about at our last board meeting, we'll come to you in a written form, and then from there, if the board chooses, we can make it a workshop topic to bring people in to have that conversation. Sorry. Yep. Yep, so we'll put it together, we'll summarize it, and then we'll bring it forward.
are they phased in, or are they starting this year?
They're all at varying points in terms of that journey, so.
Yep. Definitely a lot of work's gone into it, and I think that's part of our reporting process that we can add to it. So,
I just put that on our parking lot for future workshop agenda items and things too.
thanks, Dan.
Back to advocacy though, I want to, just a general, oh, go ahead.
Yeah, so I was just going to say, any suggestions that you can come up with that we might do, excuse me, in Washington, you know, I'd like to know when I bring them to the legislative
All right, okay.
committee.
Just maybe you mentioned, how do you say it, NISCOS? Is that what your New York State Council on, yeah. I mean, how, do we belong to any other organizations? How well do we use them? We know we go to NISBA, and we agree with some things and not always, but, you know, these are advocacy groups. It's just, I didn't realize we were a member till today of that. Are there others? I mean, how well do we use these other organizations? Do you all belong to different organizations? Or, yeah? And what are the but
Yeah, I can tell you, ASBO actually put together a political action committee a couple of years ago, that we as business officials actually on our own, we donate some funds to help with the advocacy efforts that take place at the state level as well.
You were also part of a task force on Foundation Aid?
Foundation Aid Task Force, yes.
Yeah.
We participate in some of those efforts regarding, state aid funding and how those pieces work as well. Yep, and I know ASBO's, the director of ASBO is at the Capitol speaking on district's behalf as well, so.
Is he the one who's always on Capitol Tonight or whatever?
He is, yeah, Mr.
Really
Mike,
good.
yes,
He's
Michael
very
Borges.
good
He
on
was
there.
actually director of the library systems before he became ASBO.
Yeah.
We also have Government Relations Committee at the state level that is doing all the similar things as, NISCUS as well as school boards.
I could make it part of my monthly report. I know that Joyce and I think Maureen sits on the Monroe County Legislative Committee. And like I said, I'm the representative for the Monroe County Superintendents, so it'll be part of my responsibility. And so I can just naturally carry those reports over, and between both of us and whatever we can try to do here internally, we'll make sure that we're knowing the key issues and the levers to make our voice heard.
I'm sorry, go ahead.
No, go ahead.
Well, I'm saying the tricky thing about advocacy, right, is the larger the geographic scope you try to include in that advocacy, the more varied the topics become, right? Because everybody's got different care-abouts. And, even within Monroe County, right, sometimes it feels like Fairport's on an island from other districts. And then when you get to the NISBA, it feels like what we say or what we advocate for doesn't get voted or approved by the broader group because they're all coming from a different place. And then when you get to a national level, of course, it's even more so. So it's important to get as many together as you can to build a consensus and build that strong collective voice. But it's very difficult to, to organize things in a way that you do have that focus. So, I get frustrated going to NISBA and get excited about the potential of what we're talking about. And then I get there and I'm just like, nobody here really, very few districts anyway, understand kind of where we're coming from.
Yeah.
Well, one of the things I found interesting the other day, Tom Nispecka told me that when NISBA sends out those surveys, we all get them in our email, they get a 10% return. I'm stunned by that. That's what you would expect from the general public.
Right.
These are all board members.
Well,
We
one-
should, each and
Yeah.
every one should care enough to answer that survey. I've answered every one that I've received.
Well-
So we should be sure to do that, because if our 6 or hopefully soon 7 board members answer, we're going to be a loud voice in that measly 10% return.
I agree. But one time they sent out a survey and it was a controversial topic about
I remember.
testing our Common Core, and we posted the link
You did.
on all these
Don't
places.
say we.
And we had thousands of people responded
Yes,
to
it's
it.
supposed to be
And then
for
they said,
board
oh,
members,
this
right,
isn't
so
valid, and
that-
they threw it
right.
out.
So keep it valid, but every one of us should answer every one of those surveys. I'm stunned that elected board members across the state, 90% do not answer their surveys. I just was stunned by that. I guess I'm naive to think that everybody's as invested as we are.
Ladies, have a good time in Lake Placid.
Mhm.
Thank you for going, by the way. I would like to hear what your thoughts when you come
Oh,
back.
I'll let you know.
About how that goes. You staying in the tent?
Housing. Any other comments then for that? Thank you, Joyce. Think of ideas.
I do think that, once we get sort of a lull, and we should really think about the district advocacy council that we talked about. And I know there's a lot of moving parts right now, but that's something that we should.
And I know it's something that's very important to this board, and I appreciate, and I know our staff appreciates all the advocacy that you do on behalf of public education, because it benefits our children.
And they don't have an agenda yet for this Advocacy Institute. The National School Boards runs it. And I've contacted someone, I've yet to hear back. So if we do look at that and think that there is some value in sending one of us, we could still always do that.
Okay. Great. Then, if that's done, item 10 on the agenda, board comments. Any other comments besides what we've heard from anyone?
The only other comment I had, it was just an idea about our fine student representative. I feel like we've had some really great student reps the past few years. I'm not sure that we actually engage them to their full potential. However, I mean, they come and kind of give us a report every month, and then they leave, and that's fine, but I think that they are a representative to the board. I think maybe we should think about, is there something more that we'd like to engage from them in terms of giving us a pulse of what's happening in the district, or getting them to represent us in terms of outreach?
Let's talk more about that, and I think, at our weekly meeting, we could probably come up with a few questions that could meet the board's needs as a whole.
Mark that one down. Good question. Anything else? Anything else? No, then since it's not, I have to remember, we will need a motion to go into executive session, right?
Yep.
Okay. Kevin, second. Joyce, all in favor? Great, thank you. We won't be returning, we won't be making any decisions, so when we return officially, we will just adjourn immediately and be done.